everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Sunday Club. Hope you've all had a good week. Hope you've all had a good weekend. And yeah, what a week it's been, really. Thomas Tuchel announced this week as the England manager. What a quick turn of events. I wouldn't say surprising in the end. I think as soon as that Greece game came around, or after the Greece game, it started to come through. And obviously we know now that it was a done deal. It was a done deal before that Greece game that Thomas Tuchel had signed a contract with England. And at the time, it just felt like it was a reaction to that Greece game because we were that poor. But yeah, I mean, it sort of explains why Lee Carsley were getting himself in all twists and turns and all manners of problems, because he clearly knew, didn't he? He clearly knew what was happening. He knew he was going to be replaced. He knew he was going back to the under-21s. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it didn't surprise me by the end, but at the same time, it still is a bit of a shock, if I'm honest with you. So, I mean, that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Obviously, that is all we're going to discuss tonight, because this is England now till the World Cup. I know we've got games in 3 or 4 weeks' time, and there's plenty of time to cover those on live streams over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm going to try and not talk too much about Greece and the Republic of Ireland, because there's a lot to come there. Tonight's Thomas Tuchel's time. And let's see how we're going. You'll see this week's poll. As you know, we do a poll every single week, and today's poll is, are England more likely to win the World Cup with Thomas Tuchel in charge? A lot of people are asking, are you happy with it or aren't you happy with it? I want to know, does this mean essentially what he's been put here to do? Is it now more likely that England are going to win the World Cup as a result of hiring a manager like Thomas Tuchel? So if you haven't done so already, click a vote in there. 13 votes in at the moment. Let's have a quick recce in terms of where we're up to. In fact, can I do that? Yes, there we go. So currently 85% are saying yes, 15% are saying no. And it's interesting, if I put a poll out in terms of people being interested whether Thomas Tuchel was the manager or not, it seems a bit more mixed, but most people at the minute seem to be agreeing that is more likely to give us the World Cup. So let's see where that goes as the night progresses. So let's get into the chat. You know, like I always like going to the chat. Matt's channel, happy Sunday, Gary. War Lion, evening all. Charlie, evening, mate. Felix, Walt Taunton. Hi, Gary, finally caught a live stream. Brilliant, mate. Glad you've been able to catch one. Hope you're well. Gate 102 podcast, evening, Gary. Evening, chat. Great to see some of the usual faces here. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I'm just going to very quickly pull up. I mean, just a quick shout out. Josh, let's start with members. Josh Phillips, I don't know if he's on tonight, but big shout out to Josh Phillips, who is the first channel member. You can become a member now, so hit that. It just help the channel out, really. I don't have a Patreon as such, but you can join the YouTube channel, different levels. Check it out if you're interested, but it simply helps me out to create the content for you guys. But everyone's welcome, whether you sign up or not. I'm just putting it out there. Matt's channel, I'm happy with the appointment. I think he has enough pragmatism to suit the international games and can utilise attacking players effectively like Kane and Neymar. Well, we haven't quite got Neymar. Right, I think, my opinion, I'm really, really happy with this appointment. At first, I wasn't. I did want I want an England manager. And I think if we're all being honest, ideally we'd all want an England manager, wouldn't we? We would. You know, it's not to say that we wouldn't want a foreign manager, but first and foremost, we would all love it as England fans if we could go out there and hire from a strong talent pool of England managers, and we'd have the right man for the job from that perspective. We can't do that, though. The reality of the reality of the matter is, Thomas Tuchel, out of the managers that were available, was probably the best appointment. We understand that the FA did approach Carlo Ancelotti as well. It looks like, though, they didn't even try to approach Eddie Howe. Make of that what you will. I think they interviewed around 5 to 8 candidates. They've not obviously released who all those are. But obviously Thomas Tuchel was one of them. I understand he actually applied officially for the role. So when the job role went out, I think I covered it on one of these live streams, any of us could go on and apply for the job. From what I understand, Thomas Tuchel threw his name in the hat. So he applied himself rather than the FA went out to him. That may be one of the reasons why the FA didn't approach Eddie Howe, because he didn't show an interest in it when it was out there. But it's clear that Thomas Tuchel's idea of taking over from January and only concentrating on the World Cup, which may not happen depending on where we finish in the Nations League, but he wants to solely compete for the World Cup. That's where the one thing where this appointment is leaving a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because he's looking at it very much from the glory aspect. But for us, this job's more than just a World Cup campaign, as much as I want us to win the World Cup campaign. But at the minute, Tuchel's saying, look, I only want an 18-month. He's looking at the glory of taking England to the US and winning that World Cup. He's mentioned numerous times about getting that second star on our shirt. So that's clearly where his mind is. How much of his commitment is there after those 18 months? I don't know. But he's clearly been brought in to win the World Cup and solely to win the World Cup. This isn't a project for 4 years' time, 3 years' time, like it was under Southgate, a 4 to 8 year project. This is an 18-month project now the FA have decided to go for. So, yeah, it's an interesting appointment. How do we know he won't turn out like Fabio Capello, says George? I think the thing is, and this is where the slight difference comes in, we've hired winners. Capello was a winner. Sven was a winner. In terms of foreign managers, we've hired top winning foreign managers. The difference is we've never hired one that has won anything in England or had experience of managing in England and then gone on to the England job. And I do think that does have a little bit of difference to make. Capello famously couldn't even speak English. And he was a disaster. And Sven really, and God rest his soul, but he was, with the talent he had at his disposal, you can only look back on his time and think it was disappointing and really unsuccessful. Capello, Tuchel's different. He's worked with some of these, or quite a few of these English players previously. He knows the English game. He knows the English fans. He knows English media. It's not be all and end all of everything, but he's got that little bit of a head start, hasn't he? There's no doubt he's a good manager. No doubt he's a good manager, and I think he is the best man for the job who's available now. It doesn't. I don't know. It's a tricky one. People often keep going back to his records in tournament football. I think he's got something ridiculous, like a 70 or 80% win record in knockout football, which is obviously insanely high. But he is a club manager going into international management, and there's a huge difference. He's only going to see these players 5-6 times a year. That's it. That is a huge, huge difference. So, can he make his impact in the time he has with them? I'm going to like his passion and I like his energy. I think that's arguably sometimes been missing from the England touchline over these past few years. In fact, quite a number of years now, if I'm honest with you. That real energy on the touchline, fighting from the touchline onwards, projecting that energy out. Obviously, he knows how to operate Harry Kane. He knows what to do with him. It's an interesting appointment. I do think it gives us a better chance. I said in my video, I'll come to the chat in a minute, so don't worry, everyone. If I'm not picking up, I'll come back and have a look at the chat. As you know, I like to go through it. But the one thing I said in my video, reacting to this news, just all of us now put ourselves in a Spain, Italy, Germany, France, whatever, even the US, the host nations, US, Canada, whatever. If any of those nations had just appointed Thomas Tuchel, would I, as an England fan, be more worried about playing that team, regardless of who he was managing? The answer, quite simply, is yes. It's as simple as that. If I saw Tuchel going to a rival of England at the World Cup, he was managing one of those teams, I would think, oh, fucking hell. Actually, they're going to be better now. And so I can't now sit here and say, is a bad appointment for England, because I would be thinking completely different had he have gone somewhere else. And that, to me, gives me that reassurance that he's worth a go. He is definitely worth a go. That's my 2 pence. Let's get to the chat. I don't think Howie's up there yet, says Match Channel. Plus, he has no international experience as a player or coach. Potter's too rusty, but could work for the academy teams. It's interesting if they did interview Potter. I believe they probably did, but it's hard to get any true facts out at the minute. Panther King, evening. Tuchel will give us tactical edge we were lacking, says Panther King. Nozza, I'm 50-50 about Tuchel. Not sure yet. I mean, that's the thing. This is really split people. People are like 100%. This is a great appointment. Other people are like, no, I'm not happy with it. And the German thing, for some people, is too much. Far too much for some people. Some people are thinking this is really going against everything. I'm not quite buying that. I don't think England-Germany is a rival. I mean, certainly the Germans don't see us as a big rivalry. I think this is more of a one-sided rivalry here. I'm not saying Germany don't see us as a rival, but for England fans, I think it's more of a rivalry for us. For me, though, I think Argentina and Scotland, that would probably be where I draw the line. Germany, I think over recent years, I don't know. It's not as bad, is it? It's not that bad. It isn't that bad. And there's a lot of controversial appointments. I mean, Martinez, obviously Spanish, manages Portugal at the moment. There are other nations out there that do have foreign managers. It's not as common, but there are those that do have it. So it's an interesting appointment. But the fact that he's German doesn't necessarily bother me, if I'm honest with you. Gate 102 podcast, for me, it's about their nationality. It's about if they get the respect from the manager. Serena for the women has so much respect for the players, as did Sven, as shown with his tributes for him. Yeah, I mean, he's got to get the dressing room on side. I think that's what you're saying. At the end of the day, he can't just come in and fall out with everybody. He's got to get people on side, hasn't he? I've often said international football is just about getting a bunch of lads together in a short space of time and getting them to like each other for 6 weeks. That's it. That is it. And play simple football. Football channel, so we got to rely on Carsley to top the group in the Nations League. Yeah, if we finish second, though, we're going to a playoff. We go into a playoff against one of the third-place teams from League A, and if we win that, we can still get promoted to League A. So it isn't the be-all and end-all, but it will mean that Thomas Tuchel will have to take charge of those games, because I think they'll be in March or something. But there is a potential. There is a set of scenarios where if he comes in January, he may not actually play his first competitive game with England until next September. I'm sure that was what I've read somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, for a nice, tidy transition, Tuchel clearly just wants the World Cup. He's not bothered about the Nations League. He just wants the World Cup. I think we need to be getting back in League A, though, don't we? We need to be able to Greece and picking up a win there. And if it's not enough in goal difference, which it probably won't be, we need to win that playoff. For me, simple as that. Match channel, I recall Howe was linked a month or two ago when he wanted to stay in Newcastle. Fair enough. Match channel, Tuchel has more familiarity of the English game than Capello. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Football channel, I'm hoping in our qualification we got Slovakia, Greece, Kosovo, Andorra and England. I'll be honest with you, December the 13th, so I know we've mentioned it a few times, December the 13th is the draw for the World Cup qualification. So that is on a Friday. So potentially I might do a live stream. I need to check what time it is and stuff like that. But December the 13th, I promise you now, I was going to do a video on previewing who England might get. Honestly, don't even bother looking. It's not even worth it. The amount of different stipulations they are, depending on where you're flying, who's qualified in this, who's got in this group, who's got in the knockouts, playoffs for the nations. It's so complicated. In fact, by the time it's all worked in terms of who can't play who, the groups are almost picking themselves anyway. Trust me, you're best off watching the draw because it's so complicated, and it'll all depend on who's joining which other groups. It's not long gone the days where you just have 10 parts, some teams are drawn out. It's just madness. I think the one thing to say is that because of the change in the amount of teams that qualify for the World Cup, England could potentially be in a World Cup qualification group with a much smaller amount of teams than usual, which will mean there's probably opportunities for friendlies next year, potentially. I would rather us play competitive games. I would rather us be in bigger groups, personally. But let's wait and see. But it is incredibly complicated. AJ says, hello, mate. Josh Phillip, channel member. Good evening, mate. Thank you for joining. Hope you're okay. Big up, Josh Phillip. Match channel, Capello gets stick, but one thing I'll commend him on is he missed his son's wedding in November 2011 so he could manage England friendly against Spain. Yeah, I mean, that's the Italians for you. Dylan, this makes us one of the top 3 favourites to the World Cup. Yeah, interesting point. Josh Phillips, so Josh and Gate 102 talking. Charlie Tuchel is a great manager. There's no doubt in that. For me, it's whether he can make the switch to the difference of international management. There is a big difference there. There is a big. It's the main difference really. It's doing something a lot simpler. You haven't got time, have you, for a project? And this is why I kept saying Pep isn't the right person for the England job. Pep very much wants teams to play a certain way, and he just wouldn't see the lads enough to enable that to happen. So that's going to be the barrier for him, getting him to play the way he wants to play. Famously, though, if you go on any YouTube videos at the minute, there's loads of videos about Tuchel, obviously. Please check mine out, by the way, if you haven't. It was just my initial reaction video. But there's a lot of comments about Tuchel really knowing how to use a squad full of special attacking number 10 players, really. He's done it at PSG, he's done it at Chelsea. So that certainly works in England's favour because that's where we're stacked. And at the minute, Carsley and Southgate had no idea what to do with them. Too many to fit in. Let's hope he can find that balance. A lot of people saying he's favoured a back 3 in some instances. So are England likely to go back to a back 3? Who knows? But I do think we're going to see some changes. Tuchel is a great manager, no doubt. That's one I've read. Match Channel, the Germans' main rival is the Netherlands. Yeah, exactly. Match Channel, it's not like a Croatian managing Serbia or a Barcelona legend managing Real Madrid. No, it's not quite that bad. Ricky Grimshaw, good evening, Gary. I hope you're okay, mate. I'm still buzzing from last night. What happened last night? Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Match Channel, England versus Germany has not been the same post 2010. I'll be honest with you, England's got a positive record against Germany. We've beaten them more times than they've beaten us. I see Argentina and Scotland as a bigger rivalry. We know we've got things in the past, but I do think over recent years, the 90s it sort of peaked, didn't it? And since then, I do feel like it's slackened off a little bit. I would argue Italy have probably been more of a rivalry with us in the 21st century than Germany has. Yeah, I think we want at least one decent team. The group had to qualify for the Euros just gone was perfect to me. A good mix of teams, says Josh Phillips. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we are going to be top seeds because of our FIFA ranking, so we haven't got to worry about that. We will be top seeds, which should give us an easier group. Having said that, though, let's be real. And I've covered this last week, and I've covered it in other videos. We're not playing well. No group at the minute is going to give us an easy ride. And Tuchel's got a big job in his hands to get these players and this team playing like we used to play, because it has been over 12 months now since we've seen any sort of consistency from England. And that, for me, is the biggest barrier. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen back-to-back good performances from a Foden or a Bellingham or even Kane, for that matter. They're all having one-off games or relying on individual moments of brilliance and stuff like that. But we really look a disjointed team at the minute. So, yeah, I think that's needed. And I'm not taking for granted any World Cup draw we get, any at all, because it's going to be tough. And remember, we've got to top the group. We have got to top the group. Great to see Reece James back. If he stays fit, it would be great to see him in the next squad, as I believe, if fully fit and also match fit, he's our best option at right back. I agree with you, mate. I just don't think there's any prayer at all he's going to stay match fit at all. I hope I'm wrong. Encore Football. Match Channel says he agrees on Scotland and Argentina. Encore Football, having had so many German players and managers in the Prem since 2010 has changed that. Yeah, Match Channel, I would rather consider Wales as a rivalry than Germany, especially as I'm from the West country. Yeah, no, I agree. Encore Football, I'd love to have Nations League playoff against France, Italy, Belgium or the Netherlands for the sake of having a big game during an international big team in qualifiers. Yeah, I mean, look, the more big teams we play, the better it is. No doubt, the better it is. And that's what we all want. We want to see England playing the bigger nations. And any England fan, genuinely, I do lose a bit of respect for you if you're saying you want us to stay in League B. And I've seen it in some of the groups because some of the lads want us to play different teams and they're just thinking of, where they're going, booking their 3-night stay or their away trips. And that's a ridiculous reason. England needs to be in League A playing the best teams in the world. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. We've got to get out of League B. And it's a huge disaster if England stay in League B. Really is. I don't see. We're coming up to 60 years without a trophy. I am not sitting here saying the Nations League is a Mickey Mouse tournament. That is nonsense. I would give my left arm even now to see England lift the Nations League. We need to bloody win something and get this monkey off our back. Gate 102, I personally think the last time England played like a world-class team was the Italy game at Wembley last year. We've been good since then, but never reached our full potential. Absolutely, mate. That was the best. I mean, after that night, I think we all sat there thinking, right, we're winning the Euros. We were winning the Euros. I mean, Rashford came on, scored a wonder goal. Kane played magnificently. I mean, we played Italy off the park. 3-1. It was one of the best atmospheres I've been to at Wembley in recent years. It was absolutely brilliant. And since then, we've been pretty shit. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We haven't played well since that game. I completely agree with you. Or not consistently well by any means. On core football, there really can't be any excuses if we lose the next World Cup and Euros. I don't want to hear the press blame Tuchel at all. He will. This is the problem because he's German. If this guy, and he's only got an 18-month contract, this is either going to be glorious failure or glorious success. There's no middle ground here. He's not going to leave with he's done the best he can, or he's taken England the next step, because there is no next step. He's not going to have the luxury of reaching finals and fans saying that that's enough, a bit like Gareth Southgate has. And I know some fans are even saying Gareth Southgate didn't do enough. I'm not in that category. I think Southgate has took us all the way, apart from to the trophy, but look at where he took us over from. He's been hugely successful. I see Gareth Southgate's time in charge of England as a huge success. The only success Tuchel can have is by winning it. Anything else isn't good enough, because that is the next step for England. Anything else is a step backwards, let's be real. And that is the problem with what Tuchel has now. I obviously want to return to League A, but I want to see Tuchel prepare for big games ASAP before the next World Cup in competitive fixtures, not friendlies. Well, that's one of the reasons why possibly we want a playoff. I mean, we want to be in League A, but we would take a playoff in the Nations League because we're likely to play a big team then. And secondly, maybe we want to play... I mean, friendlies are never the same anyway, are they? So do we want a bigger World Cup qualification group? Josh Phillip, Rashford's dip in form, meaning we haven't had a great left winger, has hurt us really. Yeah, I mean, there's players there though, isn't there? I mean, Gordon's been all right, but Palmer was shocking. I mean, he can play on the left, but he was shocking the other night. Well, for England anyway. I mean, since he scored those 4 goals, he's gone quiet, hasn't he? The players must take responsibility. I've had enough of blaming Southgate and Roy and their inability to make changes 60-minute onwards. Yeah, 100%. I do think they've got to make. They've got to take some blame. The players 100% have got to take some blame. War Lions is nonsense, Josh. The problem is, I mean, Grealish. So Football Channel's come in with Gordon and Grealish. Grealish, I mean, he's a good player. I think we've realised now he's not about goals and assists, is he? You sacrifice goals and assists, but we weren't getting them anyway. You know, we weren't getting them consistently from that left wing anyway. But at least he brings something else, doesn't he? No one's claimed that left wing space. I think probably what Josh is trying to say, and he's right. There is no... I think if you ask 10 England fans who their left winger is, everyone's giving you probably a different left winger. And that's the problem. Dylan, Tuchel seems confident he can win the World Cup. He hasn't shied away from saying that, what he's here to do. No, 100%, that is what he's here to do. That is 100% what he's here to do. Win the World Cup, and that's it. I mean, do we make the decision now? And some England fans are, and I don't want to do it really, but let's say if Tuchel doesn't win the World Cup, is that it? Is it the World Cup or nothing? What about if he gets to a final? Do we keep him on for another 4 years? Give him the Euros and the next World Cup? I know a lot's going to be based on how we play, how we go out, all this sort of stuff. He's here to win it though, isn't he? He's here to win it. I mean, if we go out in anything before... The problem is if we go out before the quarterfinals, it's not good enough. It's a massive step back. If we get knocked out again by the first world-class team we meet, or a nation that other people class as a big team, people often forget about Germany at the Euros, saying they were crap, but England still had to beat them at the end of the day. But obviously, historically under England, people saying Southgate couldn't beat a big team. If Tuchel gets us to the World Cup and gets us knocked out by a big team, is that it? Is it bye? See you later, even if it's a semi-final, final, whatever? It's a tough one. Tuchel will take no prisoners. If they don't give their all, they won't last long. I think that's what I'm going to like about him. I don't think he's going to have... He probably will have loyalties, but I think he'll be much quicker to sweep them off if they're not doing what they need to be doing. We need Shaw or Chilwell for England. I think you're right. I do. We need a left back. 100. That left wing is a huge, huge problem. The full length of it. The left wing, the left back. Does anyone feel sorry for Carsley, says Nozza? I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's hard. What the problem I've got with Carsley is I'm struggling to understand when he knew and what he knew, and when he started to tie himself into knots and twists. I mean, because by the end of it, he was doing almost everything to convince us all he wasn't the right man for the job. And I know that's probably his job after that, but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, he's gone back to the under-21s. He's not lost out on anything. He's got to manage England at senior level for a campaign. I probably don't feel sorry for him, really. Match channel, I'd give him the Euros if he gets to the quarters and the performance is respectable, especially if the game gets rigged. Football channel, will Ben White come back to England now Southgate's gone? I mean, that's interesting. I did see someone say if Tuchel goes back to a back three, which England have played under Southgate, but Tuchel has played with his club teams. If we go back to a back three, Ben White has got to be looked at. And I know I'm one of those where you think, hang on a minute, he's turned the shirt down before. Does he get a chance? Some people very much in this chat will be like, not a prayer, don't let him anywhere near it. He's made his mind up. It's disgusting. He's rejected a call up, blah, 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 blah. But Ben White in the back three is a big bonus. A huge bonus. Instantly, you know, I'm already a lot more confident about playing a back three. Warline Josh making it sound like we can't work without Rashford. I don't know. I think the thing is I think what Josh is saying is there's no one claiming that left wing spot. Gate 102 podcast. Oh, sorry, Josh Phillip. I know a lot of people hate Rashford for some reason, but it's obvious he plays better for England than Foden does. Well, I mean, that's possibly a fair comment. There was a statistic where Foden has been involved in 4 goals in 42 caps for England. So possibly a fair comment there, Josh. Not taking either Rashford or Grealish to the Euros wasn't the right decision, in my opinion. I think most people probably agree now Grealish should have gone. I can't see Tuchel staying on regardless of what happens in 2026. I think he's attracted by World Cup only. Yeah, I do sort of get that feeling, mate. Gate 102, Ezri Konsa would be my choice on the right back of a back three. Yeah. Tuchel signed for 18 months. Yeah, so it takes him up to the World Cup. Nozza, so he'll have all next calendar year, and it basically takes him to the end of the World Cup. Back three: Stones, Gahey, Colwell for me. I mean, Stones is in there. I don't know. I mean, based on who's available at the minute, I would go Stones, Gahey, and then is it a Colwell? Is it a Konza? I just think if Ben White becomes available, are you looking at Ben White, Stones, and Gahey? I think that's a strong back three, that is. I know Tuchel thinking of bringing Mount back. Do you want him back as he would be a bench warmer? No, but at the end of the day, you still got to earn your call up. And I don't think he will call him up unless he's playing well for Man United. If Ben White's absence is justified, why has it not been said? I don't know. I just think there's a lot we don't know. I think the thing is now it really is a clean slate. Lee Cars is not even involved in it now. It's a completely brand new manager coming in. No previous backroom staff. Who knows? I mean, certainly if he does reach out to him and offers him to come back in, he still says no. Then 100%. I mean, it doesn't sound like he would ever come back anyway. Then, but 100%. That's it. That is it. We don't know the context, and it is difficult to make our mind up because of that. But it's one of those. It is one of those. Josh Phillips, well, I haven't said that. All I'm saying is that last good performance of an England left winger was Rashford versus Italy, and he's only one who has semi-consistently played well for us. You're not far wrong, Josh. Honestly, I don't disagree with that at all. There's been problems. There's been problems with that left wing, that left side since that Italy game. But there's been a problem with the old England team since the Italy game. Match channel, I remember that. It's hard to find any true information nowadays. It's all hearsay. Josh Phillips now, unfortunately, Mount can't stay fit for long enough, and the same with Reece James. War Lion, fair enough. It's just, look, the biggest problems are, I mean, is it a problem? Yeah. He's got to drop big names. names are going to have to be dropped. Can he get the best out of our best players, who most people say are our best players, which are Foden, Bellingham, Saka, Kane, and then your other one is anybody's guess. Grealish, Gordon, Palmer, whatever you want. Can he get the most out of them? At the minute, I would argue Gareth Southgate did it some occasions, but most of the time failed to do so. Let's see what Cardiff can do. The back line, the defence is an absolute shambles. What does he do about that defence? I think Rashford is a different player in an England shirt like Pickford. Yeah, I would say that's fair. Felix, Wooltorton, I think we should bring back Calvin Phillips. I mean, the interesting thing is you don't want him to throw the baby out with the bathwater, do you? I mean, look at the good things Carsley's done. Gomez, for one, has got to be still getting called back up. Madueke hasn't played bad. You know, you don't really want to just see Madueke now disregarded. I think those two players in particular, you feel like under Lee Carsley, they've earned the right to remain in squads. Sterling to get back in. He is known to be well liked by Tuchel. Deserves a chance to shine again, especially when we have left wingers playing poorly, like Josh said. The problem is he's got to play, hasn't he? He's got to play. I mean, is Sterling done? Is he done? Is he now a busted flush? Football Channel, Gahey, Stone, Shaw or Chilwell, then right back Trent or Lewis. I think the problem is Lewis really, I mean they all did, but Lewis really showed himself up in the last international break. Really did. I think he's miles off. I do think he's miles off. Gomez has served the Phillips role well. I think he was probably been our best under Lee Carsley. I would say Gomez has been the most consistent best player we've had. I do think Palmer should start. I mean, I do, but the problem is they all can't start. We've determined that from Lee Carsley's experiment against Greece, so they all can't start. But he was terrible. He was absolutely terrible. Not only Palmer, but he was crap last 2 years. Absolutely. I mean, he was crap. He was terrible. Absolutely. I'm not saying that lightly. He was really, really poor. Let's have a quick look at the poll. Are England more likely to win the World Cup with Thomas Tuchel in charge? 26 votes, 89%. No, 27, 26. Someone's just changed their mind. No, 27 votes, 89% saying yes, 11% saying no. So it's pretty unanimous. England fans think, oh, well, whoever's in the chat, I assume England fans, but let me know if you're not an England fan, if you're here just to come and eavesdrop in terms of what we're talking about ahead of the World Cup. But yeah, it seems like we're pretty happy with this appointment in terms of our prospects of winning the World Cup. Warline 94, Madueke ahead of Bowen for me now. I'll be honest with you, I thought Bowen was I thought it was unfair on him to be left out of that second squad Carsley called up, because I thought he was really good in that first squad, and he's much more direct. Much more direct. I mean, Ollie Watkins he's a big problem because every time he's coming on, he's doing something, isn't he? I mean, do you drop a Foden, a Palmer to fit in Ollie Watkins around Harry Kane? Because he's making much more of an impact in games than what either of those two are at the moment. Gate 102 podcast, the big step for England need to make to winning something is to be controlling these big games, and couldn't see Gomez being a player who could do that and allow Rice to play higher up. I'll be honest with you, I think Rice needs to step up as well. I mean, I keep slating him. Everyone knows my thoughts on Rice. And I think I only get frustrated because I feel like he can do better. He can do better. I still think, yeah, with Gomez and Rice, are they two players who are going to dominate in midfield possession-wise? They're not, are they? They're not. My lineup: striker, Kane, left wing, Gordon, right wing, Palmer, centre attacking midfield, Bellingham, centre defensive mid, Rice, centre, Mainu, left. Oh no, I think I've got this one way around. Left back, Chilwell, Shaw, or centre back, Gahey, centre back, Stones, right back, Trent. Foden had his chances. He needs to be dropped. I think he needs to be dropped. I do. I think he needs to be dropped, and we need to find who's fitting in where. And it doesn't mean he doesn't come back in and potentially win his starting place, but he's not doing enough, is he? Not doing enough. Needs to be dropped. I would be looking at how we fit in Ollie Watkins. I really would. Tuchel still played Bayern's normal formation when he played back three at Leverkusen last season. It was a disaster. The point being, Tuchel won't necessarily play the back. I think he did 4-3-3 for PSG. Josh responding to Gate 102. Yeah, definitely. I really hope Gomez keeps being picked. I think he's really important for build-up as well. Either him or Wharton should play alongside Rice at the minute. Thing is, everyone keeps on about Wharton. Most of us, if we're not Palace fans, haven't still seen enough of him, have we? I mean, he got called up. Cars has dropped him back down to the under-21s. The sentiment's a problem. The defence is a problem. They're the main, and the left wing. Those three areas are the problem. Well, four. Let's go for a fourth. Who play? Getting us more offensive. Even though we've got all the players on the pitch not doing anything. So he's got a lot of things. He's not coming in. The players are there. The recipe's there, if you like. But no one can make the finished meal at the minute. That's what his job is to do. He can't fit them all in. Gordon is good with Kane, says Football Channel. Yeah, I'd go back to Ollie Watkins. I mean, look at the second goal against Finland. It was just the direct running in behind with the ball from Ollie Watkins. I just think he's got to come in. He's got to come in. I would be looking to play Kane and Watkins together. I mean, the other thing is obviously Harry Kane. I know we've mentioned him numerous times, but people are wound up. Because he's missing, isn't he, for games? Long periods of games he's missing. But, if you're getting these Palmers, Bellinghams, Fodens or whatever, if you're getting these players to play well, it's not necessarily a problem that Kane is only there to score goals. It's the fact that they're playing poorly and Kane's nowhere to be seen as well. So you can't have that luxury player on the pitch who's only going to score goals if everybody else around him isn't doing the job. Well, Tony's been snubbed just because he went to Arabia. Yeah, I do think he shouldn't be snubbed. I think we need to look at that. He still does a job. I think he had a really, really good Euros as well. I am disappointed. And maybe Tuchel won't do that. Maybe Tuchel will still be looking at Tony. He certainly was from a Lee Carsley perspective. But again, we don't know. We do not know. I mean, Tuchel will know all of these England players. He'll know them all. He'll know some better than others, but obviously his time in the Premier League, he'll know every single one of them. He may already have favourites. In his head, he may already have the team he wants to play. And obviously, fitness permitting, form permitting, whatever. We're going to see drastic changes. Let's be honest, there was a huge amount of difference, really. Lee Carsley's last two squads have been a real change from what Gareth Southgate was picking. And Lee Carsley is arguably coming from the established cohort of England backroom staff and management. Tuchel's coming in completely fresh. He knows the players. You're going to see some mad squads. I think you're going to see some mad squads coming up. For all the stick Kane got in the summer, you need runners in behind, and we didn't have that in the summer. Or the last game against Finland, Sterling runs in behind, which is why, we do need runners in behind. That is what ultimately is lacking. I agree. 100% agree. And that is what Ollie Watkins is doing. Bowen, I think, can do it as well. I do think Bowen deserves more of a chance. Palmer isn't a runner in behind, which is why we're struggling. Foden isn't. Bellingham isn't. That's where we're getting stuck. It's just too congested in the middle of the park, and it's too easy to defend against us. I hope Tuchel keeps the faith in Gomez. Hope he doesn't end up as Carsley's pick and then forgotten. Yeah, M0, completely agree. I will say this, though. I don't think he's got the luxury of now forgetting Gomez, because the options in central midfield are slim. They are very slim. Josh Phillips. Channel member, my lineup would probably be Pickford, Trent. So let's see what are you playing? Are you playing a back three, mate, or a back four with that? Because you've got Stones, Gahey, Colwill, Gomez. No, so yeah, I mean Gomez, Rice, Saka, Bellingham, Gordon, and Kane. Yeah, well, that's a very strong squad, mate. Then if Rashford or Sterling are in form instead of Gordon, back four. Yeah, no, that works. I mean, Saka is still the one player we're looking at. I think, to be honest with you, it's not really, because we've tried a number of systems, and it's not really you could argue at the minute, it's not really the personnel, is it? It's more to do with what we're trying to do on the pitch, because no matter who's playing, England look shit. We look shit. Now, who's coming on the pitch? We look terrible. We look shaky at the back as soon as we lose the ball. We're not creating anything going forward. And everyone's getting on the pitch. Lee Carsley's used a lot of different players. It's arguably the system we're playing and how we're trying to do it. I think that's the key. The whole structure of the team's gone. So I think the more I'm thinking about it, we could sit here and, talk about who's going or whatever. But at the minute, I don't think it matters. We can't get them to play as a team at the minute. With Cole at left back, we can go into a back three during build-up, and Trent can go into midfield next to Gomez. And that is sort of what Lee Carsley was doing, Josh. That is what Lee Carsley was doing, but it was leaving us short. I mean, if you watch the games with Trent in, well, all of them then, Trent was never at right back. He was always coming into midfield, and it was always leaving that back three. Do you play FPL? What do you mean, Football Channel? Gate 102 podcast. When England need a new captain, hopefully a long time off, but Gomez strikes me as a possible candidate. He clearly loves playing for England and isn't afraid to shout for ball as shown. I mean, he wants to see the ball, which is great, and which is what you need from a central midfielder. And I think he's better in those tight spots than Declan Rice. I really do. I really do think he's better in those tight spots. So, key calendar dates, December the 13th. Get it in your diaries. I don't know what time yet. I do need to do a bit of looking in terms of what time the draw is. December the 13th, though, we'll do a big night. Whether it's a live streamer after the draw, because work permitting and all that lot, whether I'm off and it all works out, the gods and everything align, that I can do a live stream during the draw, which I would love to do. Some initial reactions or a video, something will drop, but December the 13th will be a big night for us. I think we're going to aim for December let's say the 22nd. I'm probably going to go for the 22nd, which is the Sunday before Christmas. I'm putting that as our quiz night. The end of year quiz night, so pencil that in as well. I'll put it on the channel again. Or put it on the channel that December the 22nd will be our end of year Three Lions quiz. So make sure you join me for that. England Player of the Week, and I've got to admit I've had a couple of parties this week, so I've missed a lot of the games yesterday, and I certainly haven't seen the games today. So I am relying on you guys to let me know who's had a good weekend. Who has had a good weekend from an England perspective? Josh Phillips, Gate 102 podcast. That's an interesting shout. He used to be captain for the Man United youth team, so he must be considered a leader. My captain will probably be Rice, I think. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Rice will probably come in. Will England be in the draw if we don't top our Nations League group? Yes, they will. Yeah. We're guaranteed to be top seeds, MK. On December the 13th, we will be top seeds because of our FIFA ranking. It has no impact at all on our performance in the Nations League. Our FIFA ranking will give us the top seed. So, yeah, that's Kane as Player of the Week. Okay. Good shout. Kane Player of the Week, Dylan. What do we think about the criticism? Because I know, from what I understand, Harry Kane isn't that well liked in Germany. People often accuse him of only turning up in games when it's pretty obvious what the result's going to be. He doesn't turn up in big games. To be fair, that is a criticism that has been labelled at him from an England perspective. Thoughts? Just throwing it out there. I do think there are some times, particularly in an England shirt, where in the big moments, I'm not saying not always, I mean, he has come good in big moments before, but sometimes you are thinking, where are you, Kane? Yeah, we're still third, fourth. Yeah, let me have a look. Somehow, even though we've had a shocking year, I mean, the FIFA rankings will catch up with us because of the games we've lost this year. I think they're almost like going back a year. We're fourth at the minute, fourth in the FIFA World Rankings, behind Argentina, France, and Spain. Curtis Jones, I've been reading about Curtis Jones actually. Josh Phillip, England Player of the Week, Danny Welbeck, as usual, scored the winner versus Danny Welbeck. Honestly, we'll get him back in. Lads, we'll get him back in. Big Danny Welbeck fans, obviously, in here. I know not everyone probably is, but I know there's a big group of us in here that love a Danny Welbeck. MK, still fourth in the world. Curtis Jones was brilliant today. John Stones scores a last-minute goal a few times this season, says Ricky Grimshaw. Good shout. Yeah, really, really good shout. Harry, at the end of the day, if a striker's scoring a hat-trick, you've got to give it them, haven't you? You've probably got to give it them. It's not a very interesting England Player of the Week, but Harry Kane scoring a hat-trick in Germany at the weekend's got to be the one, hasn't it? Watkins and Rodgers both scored this week. Kane is one of the most clutch England players I've ever seen and has scored so many crucial goals, so feels some of the criticism was unfair. But yeah, it probably is. Kane, says Josh. Yeah, no, absolutely right. I mean, look, there's no doubt he's been amazing for England, and he is England's best striker ever by probably a country mile now, really. Or he certainly will be by the time he finishes. I do think there is sometimes there when in the big moments, you go back to that France penalty, obviously immediately, but sometimes you think, you know what, he's been missing a bit. Ricky Grimshaw, remember when Defoe returned for England versus Lithuania after years without caps and he scores? Well, Cup, yeah, and it was class as well, wasn't it? I mean, look how far we've come when we were calling back play. I mean, Defoe was brilliant, by the way, but when it was that long where we weren't producing any strikers and we had to bring players like Defoe back, we've come such a long way. Such a long way. 2017, that is mad. That is crazy. As if that was 2017. Welbeck, Sterling, Rashford. Where are we, 2018? Yeah. Bring back Andy Carroll. I mean, I do think, I'll be honest, Rashford, because of his age, is probably, he's more than got an opportunity if he finds his... He needs to leave Man United, but Rashford's England career probably isn't over, or, could potentially not be over. I would wager that Welbeck and Sterling's time in an England shirt is done, which is a bit of a shame, but yeah, I think they're done, definitely. Right, fan of that. I mean, we're 46 minutes in. Let me go to fan of the week. Josh Phillip, FYI, is always fan of the week while he's subbed. So thank you very much, mate. Again, thank you so much for being a channel member, the first one. I will always defend Kane. He's been unbelievable for us. No, absolutely, mate. He'll go. He is the man. He is the man. Who's my fan of the week in the chat? Just scanning back through. I think Gate 102 podcast has been pretty strong this week. Just looking, he's been on it throughout. So big shout out to you, mate. Going right back to the start of the chat. People have dipped in and out, but he's been pretty consistent. So thank you very much, mate. Gate 102, fan of the week in the chat for me this week. And let's have a final look at the poll because there's been more votes. Another 10 votes since we last looked, actually. So quite a healthy vote this week. 35 people voted, and it's pretty unanimous, let's say. Are England more likely to win the World Cup with Thomas Tuchel? 91% out of 35 have said absolutely yes. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. And I do go back to, I'm always trying to put myself in a foreign fan's perspective. Another foreign fan's perspective. Would I be nervous if another team had just recruited Thomas Tuchel as their manager? The answer is yes. More considered poll than when I last checked it, says Matt's channel. Yeah, so I just think, look, even though everyone isn't happy, the Germany thing is the Germany thing. I know there's history there between us and Germany, but I think it's a bit archaic now. I've seen some people saying there would be little asterisks next to England if we go and win the World Cup for the second time. What a load of shit. There will not be any asterisks next to England's name. If we go and win the World Cup in the summer, not a single England fan will give a damn. They will not give a damn. I don't care that we won the Euros with Serena Wiegmann. In 50 years' time, when history is playing a part, no one will care. In fact, no one will remember the manager, most likely, particularly foreign fans. No one will look back in 50 years' time and think, who was the manager of this, who was the manager of them. No one remembers who the managers of teams were that won tournaments 30, 40 years ago, other than the fans of their home nation. Nobody else cares. Only the thing that will be written is England's name. I will not give a damn if England go on and win the World Cup. There will be no such thing as an asterisk. No one will care. Just, bring it home. Bring it home. I mean, I did on my latest video, I did edit the England flag with 2 stars. It looks sick. We need 2 stars on our shirt. There was a part of me that was a horrible feeling it's going to be terribly wrong in the World Cup. What Southgate was incredibly difficult and he wasn't giving anywhere near enough credit. Absolutely, mate. Well, we're going to see, aren't we? We're going to see how good of a job Gareth Southgate actually did. More Vantrix for the weaker World Cup format, if anything. I just, look, I think we've got a better chance of winning it. I agree with you all. Obviously, let's acknowledge, though, that some people don't. Much smaller majority, but some people feel like Thomas Tuchel isn't the answer. Time will only tell now. The problem is he's not going to get the leeway Southgate has, because Southgate's now built the foundations. We want the win. He's not English, which will go against him if it doesn't turn out. We're not playing well. we've just got to get behind him now. I think the only thing that bothers me is why not take over now? I think that's the only thing that I just think. I get his theory about he only wants to concentrate on the World Cup, but I'm a little bit irked that he hasn't just taken over from now, really. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching. We are just short of the hour, but I think I'm going to call it there, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I know I mentioned it a few times. I am still working on a major video. Just for those that are regular here, who sometimes have missed the previous live streams, I'm starting to do less videos between games, but then working on just 1 or 2 videos. So quality over quantity, that drop every few months, rather than me now try and fill the next 3 weeks with random videos that no one really wants to watch. So, and more evergreen content. I've been doing a lot of research about YouTube, and I feel like I need more what's called evergreen content. So videos you can watch in a year's, 2 years' time, and they're still as relevant as what they are now. Or a lot of the videos I do is very much on that week, things like that. So watch out for the evergreen content. It just means it'll become more slower. But in 2-3 weeks' time, England play again. Last games of this calendar year, and obviously we'll look forward to the Christmas period as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Walt Match Channel, thank you, mate. Ricky Grimshaw, no one cried when Lioness has won the fight with the foreign manager, so our fans need to leave Tuchel alone. Absolutely agree. Gate 102, cheers, Gary. Looking forward to this video. Josh Phillips, podcast definitely 100%. Cheers, Gary. Fantastic show as always. Brilliant, guys. Hope you all have a great week. Whatever you do, just remember, just relax. Enjoy your week. Life's good, as long as we've all got our health. And I will see you all on my next video. Thank you so much.